Hare Krishna. Wish everyone very happy grand Balaram Jayanti. Very auspicious day today. Somehow I'm supposed to give class in some time at Vishal Nagar Center. So Mudit Krishna Prabhu, can you please continue?
Yes,
Hare,
Guruji.
Hare Krishna
Yeah.
Prabhu, same to you.
Hare Krishna. Happy Balaram Jayanti to everyone. Hari Bol.
Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirahe. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, so we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Lord Kapila's Instructions on the Movements of the Living Entities by Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we are reading 3.31.6 verse. Krumibhi Kshat Sarvangah Saukumaryat Patikshanam Murcham apnoti urukleshas tatratyaih kshodhitairmuhu. Translation.
Bitten again and again all over the body by the hungry worms in the abdomen itself, the child suffers terrible agony because of his tenderness. He thus becomes unconscious moment after moment because of the terrible condition. Purport. The miserable condition of material existence is not only felt when we come out of the womb of the mother, but is also present within the womb. Miserable life begins from the moment the living entity begins to contact his material body. Unfortunately, we forget this experience and do not take the miseries of birth very seriously. In Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is specifically mentioned that one should be very alert to understand the specific difficulties of birth and death. Just as during the formation of this body, we have to pass through so many difficulties within the womb of the mother, at the time of death, there are so many difficulties. As described in the previous chapter, one has to transmigrate from one body to another, and the transmigration into the bodies of dogs and hogs is especially miserable. But despite such miserable conditions, due to the spell of Maya, we forget everything and become enamored by the present so called happiness, which is described as actually no more than a counteraction to distress. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So in this verse, when we were at the beginning of our devotional life, like in 2002, 2004, that time we were attending DYS course, that is Discover Yourself. That time so many examples were given by Radhesham Prabhu and all the devotees, like birth. The actual miseries in the life are four types of miseries: birth, old age, disease, and death. These are the Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. So that time, Janma, so many people were asking the questions like how birth is a misery. But that time one example they were giving, that suppose imagine that one room is there, that is 10 by 10 room, and there is one fan, ceiling fan, and uh, just below to that fan there is one, different drums are there. One drum is filled with urine, one drum is filled with pus, one drum filled with blood, one drum filled with a stool, and just aside of that, one means woods are there, and that is burning wood, and in that uh, that chili powder is mixed. So and to that ceiling fan, suppose a person is hanged, and that is also inverted, ulta, latka diya, and that like that condition of ours is in the womb of the mother. So just imagine how terrible that condition is, and that in that condition we are there for 9 months and 9 days in a womb of a mother. So see, just like below mother's womb, there below that womb there is a urinary bladder as per the anatomical structure of the body, human body. Urinary bladder is there, then stool is around us because there is large intestine and all that. So this is very miserable condition. And वो धुआं आता है, उसका मिर्ची का धुआं आता है, just like that. So this is very miserable condition. But as soon as life begins, means once fetus comes out of uterus, that means he is mixed with the material existence, and he forgets, the living entity forgets that situation, what he has suffered in the womb of a mother. So that is very dangerous situation. So birth is also a kind of a misery. And here Prabhupada is explaining that due to the spell of Maya, we forget everything and become enamored by the present so-called happiness. Yes. So we'll go ahead. Next verse, text 7. Katu tikshnoshna lavana ruksha mlam divir ulbanahai matribhuktair upasparshta spashta sarvangothita vedana. Yes, translation.
Translation. Owing to the mother's eating bitter, pungent foodstuffs or food which is too salty or too sour, the body of the child incessantly suffers pains which are almost intolerable. Purport. All descriptions of the child's bodily situation in the womb of the mother are beyond our conception. It is very difficult to remain in such a position, but still the child has to remain. Because his consciousness is not very developed, the child can tolerate it, otherwise he would die. That is the benediction of Maya. who endows the suffering body with the qualifications for tolerating such terrible tortures. Hare Krishna.
Yes, in the same situation, suppose mother is eating the different things like bitter, pungent foodstuffs, sour foodstuffs, too salty, too sour, then body of the child suffers incessantly. It is almost intolerable for that child. That is mentioned here. The purport Srila Prabhupada is telling the same thing because this position, the fetus child is there in the mother's womb, but as soon as he comes out of the womb, he forgets that thing, and that's why he not experienced that. He has already experienced, but he is not remembering that thing. But he has to suffer and tolerate this all the terrible tortures in the womb of the mother. Yes, we'll go to the next verse. Ulbena samrutastasmin atraischa bahir auritaha aste kritva shirah kuksho bhugna prashtha shirodhara. Yes, translation.
Placed within the amnion and covered outside by the intestines, the child remains lying on one side of the abdomen. His head turned towards his belly and his back and neck arched like a bowl. Purport. If a grown man were put into such a condition as a child within the abdomen, completely entangled in all respects, it would be impossible for him to live even for a second. Unfortunately, we forget all these sufferings and try to be happy in this life, not caring for the liberation of the soul from the entanglement of birth and death. It is an unfortunate civilization in which these matters are not plainly discussed to make people understand the precarious condition of material existence.
Yes. So that is there is amniotic fluid in the mother's womb for complete period of the gestation, that is 9 months and 9 days. And outside there are intestines where the stool is stored, and the child remains lying on one side of the abdomen, his head turned towards his belly, and his back and neck arched like a bow. So this is very miserable condition. But uh, people in this material world, as soon as baby borns, they are giving sweet. They are distributing the sweet amongst the relatives. That is my child born. Because baby boy or baby girl is born. And that is feeling of happiness is there when baby born. But it is happiness, yes, correct. But still that soul is suffering like anything in the mother's womb for 9 months. So this is the great misery. But nobody is in this unfortunate civilization, nobody is discussing these matters plainly. That is given here by Prabhupada. So we have to discuss about these real miseries in the life, that is birth, right from the birth, old age, disease, and death. Then only we come to know that how miserable this material life is. But because everything is forgettable, and that's why in that forgiveness we are becoming happy in every we are trying to become happy in every situation. That is called as adaptation. We are adapting to the material situation, every circumstances in your life. Yes, we will go to the next verse and we'll stop then. Akalpaswanga चेष्टायां शंकुत इव पंजरे तत्र लब्ध स्मृतिर्दैवत कर्म जन्म शतोब्ध्वाम स्मरन् दीर्घम अनुच्छास्वम शर्म किम नाम विन्दते. Yes, translation.
The child does remain just like a bird in the cage without the freedom of movement. At that time, if the child is fortunate, he can remember all the trouble of his past and 100 births, and he grieves watchingly. What is the possibility of peace of mind in this condition, that condition? But after birth, the child must forget about the difficulties of his past lives. But when we are grown up, we can at least understand the grievous tortures under, undergone at birth and death by reading the authorized scriptures like Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. If we do not believe in the scriptures, that is a different question. But if we have faith in the authority of such descriptions, then we must prepare for our freedom in the next line. That is possible in this human form of life. One who does not take heed of these indications of suffering in human existence is that to be undoubtedly committing suicide. It is said that this human form of life is the only means for crossing over the limitations of māyā. As of material existence, we have a very efficient boat in this human form of body, and there is a very expert captain, the spiritual master. The scriptures injunctions as are like a favorable wind. If we do not cross over the ocean of this necessities of material existence, in spite of all these facilities, then certainly we are all intentionally committing suicide.
Yes. So here the situation of the child in the womb is been described in these words. The child just remains just like a bird in the cage without the freedom of movement. And at that time, if the child is fortunate, he can remember all the troubles of his last 100 births, and he grieves wretchedly. What is the possibility of peace of mind in that condition? So it is said in the scripture that child is remembering his past 100 births in that situation, and he is praying to the Lord that, Lord, please let me go from this miserable condition and give me the happiness. Like that, we are praying to the Lord in the mother's womb also. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is discussing that after the birth of the child may forget about the difficulties of his past lives. And that's why he is becoming happy after the birth. He's trying to become happy. And these are the this all thing is given in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Srila Prabhupada is trying to stress here reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So that is there. And if somebody is not having the faith in this descriptions of the authority of the scriptural injunctions, then there is a that is just like committing suicide. Even after getting this freedom of the life, like a human form of a life, and if we are not using this human form of life for the self-realization to understand the soul, and the Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nityadasa, so the Bhagwan or the Lord, if we are not using this form, then this is just intentionally committing like a suicide. Here, one very nice thing as mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, that is, see, this human form of life is just like a boat which can cross this ocean of material existence. Human form of life is a boat, just like a boat. And there is a very expert captain. Who is the captain? The spiritual master is the captain who gives us the direction on which direction we have to go, we have to take our boat. So the spiritual master is the captain, and the scriptural injunctions are like the favorable winds on that side only. Means if we will believe this scriptural injunction, try to follow these scriptural injunctions like Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, then our boat can surpass this all the ocean of the materialist science. And if we are not using this boat, that is human form of life, for this self-realization or the bhakti process, devotional service to the Lord, then it is nothing but intentionally committing suicide. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone.
Prabhupada.
Raksha Bandhan. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.